Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business News Afternoon Report for Wednesday, the 25th of September, 2024. I'm Michael Thompson. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about, so let's get going. Story number 1, the S&P ASX 200 closed down 0.2% to 8,126 points today after a volatile day of trading. All eyes were really on the Bureau of Statistics for the monthly inflation data, showing headline inflation back into the target band for the first time in almost 3 years, but underlying inflation came in at 3.4%, still well above the RBA's targets. Back to the markets, though, the top performers by quite a stretch were metals and mining, materials and resources. Champion Iron was a top performer, up 13.5%, BHP up 3.8%, and Fortescue Metals 4.7%. China's central bank cut its one-year rates on the back of a new government stimulus package, which explains some of the optimism about iron ore. The falls, though, were a mixed bag, with financials leading the declines, followed by information technology. Among the worst performers over the day were the banks, led by NAB, down 2.7%. And speaking of the banks, Macquarie was slapped with a record $4.995 million fine by the corporate regulator after it found it had failed to catch dodgy electricity futures transactions from 3 clients on about 40 occasions in the months after Russia invaded Ukraine. On to story number 2 now, and Fortescue Metals will pay $2.8 billion to replace 2/3 of its fleet of haulage trucks and equipment in Western Australia with electric versions. As it seeks to cut diesel consumption and meet ambitious emissions reduction targets, the miner will buy 475 emissions-free machines, including 360 autonomous battery electric trucks from a German company, according to Bloomberg. The fleet will service Fortescue's sprawling iron ore operations in the Pilbara. Perth-based Fortescue has plans to decarbonise its iron ore mining operations by 2030, but it is a challenge. Fortescue consumed 631 million litres of diesel last financial year alone. Quite incredible. Story number 3, the federal government has ordered Vanguard to pay $12.9 million in penalties over misleading claims about its ESG filters. This is the biggest penalty for greenwashing secured by the Australian Securities and Investments Commission through court action. ASX said in a statement that Vanguard admitted to misleading investors over screening applied to its ethically conscious global aggregate bond index fund, which claimed it would exclude bond issuers with business activities in fields like fossil fuels. This turned out to not always be the case, and it was found in court to have misrepresented the main distinguishing feature of the fund, having not researched or screened 74% of securities by market value against the criteria. Story number 4, the ACCC has again extended the deadline to decide on the merger of Sigma Healthcare and pharmacy giant Chemist Warehouse, with the call now expected later in October. The regulator was initially due to hand down its long-expected ruling on October the 2nd. In June, it raised 5 orange flags in a preliminary assessment of the deal. You'll remember that back in December last year, Sigma and Chemist Warehouse entered into a merger deal where Sigma would acquire all the shares in Chemist Warehouse in exchange for Sigma shares and a $700 million cash consideration. Meanwhile, Chemist Warehouse yesterday reported a near 80% jump in net profit, while Sigma Healthcare's earnings fell by 66%. Sigma's shares ended the day down 3.5%. And finally, story number 5, Donald Trump has warned US trading partners that they would be, quote, losing their jobs to America if he wins a second term in the White House, as he promised a new American industrialism under his watch. Mr. Trump's version of US industrial policy is centered on a promise to cut taxes for companies that manufacture in America and impose tariffs on those that don't. He said, and this is a quote, "Vote for Trump and you will see a mass exodus of manufacturing from China to Pennsylvania, from Korea to North Carolina, from Germany to right here in Georgia." There you go. That's it for the afternoon report for Wednesday, the 25th of September 2024. We'll be back tomorrow morning with the Thursday edition of Fear and Greed. I'm Michael Thompson. Enjoy your evening.